You may not be broke just because you earn little. You could be broke because every 4 years you start from scratch with a new car payment. Think about it for a second, not superficially. Really think about it. You wake up early, you work all month, you don't waste money, you don't go to restaurants every day, you're careful. And yet, when you look at your bank statement at the end of the month, it seems like the money vanished before you even decided what to do with it. You pay the rent, you pay for gas, you pay for groceries, you pay for insurance.
You pay for your cell phone. You pay for the subscriptions you signed up for and hardly ever use. You pay for health insurance. You pay for internet. And when it finally seems like there's something left over, when you take a deep breath and think, this month will be different, the car payment appears on the statement. Every month. Punctual. Relentless. As if it were waiting there just to remind you that you don't have a break. And you look at that number and think, okay, but everyone has that. And that's exactly where the problem begins. If you've made it this far, you already deserve a like and subscribe to the channel, The Sleeping Investor, because this content will change the way you see money.
And tell me in the comments, where are you watching this from right now? I really want to know. Let me tell you about someone. She's not rich, but she doesn't think she's poor either. She earns a reasonable salary, not a dream salary, but enough to live on. She has a stable job, she pays her bills on time, most of the time. She has a relatively new car in the garage, and when she drove out of the dealership, she felt that sensation. You know what it's like. That mixture of pride and relief, that thought of, now, yes, I'm doing well. I deserve this. I worked for this. That feeling lasted for about 3 days. Then came the bill. And that's how the cycle began. Every month she works to pay for the life she's built to appear successful. Rent takes a chunk, food takes another. And the car? The car consumes exactly what's left of that feeling of progress. Month after month, year after year. She doesn't understand why she never has any money left over. She earns more than she used to. She got a raise at work. She cut some expenses. But it seems that the more she earns, the more she spends. It seems like the money slips through her fingers without her even realizing when or how. She looks around and sees everyone in the same situation and thinks it's normal. That's how adult life works. But it isn't. Or at least it doesn't have to be. The problem isn't the income. The problem is what she does when her income increases, and what she stops doing because the mortgage payment leaves no room for anything else. Because at some point, the car ceased to be a means of transportation. It became proof. Proof that you're growing. Proof that you're not standing still while everyone around you seems to be moving forward. Proof that you've improved since the last time people saw you. Silent and constant proof that you haven't been left behind. People aren't buying metal, leather, canvas, and wheels. They're buying the temporary feeling that finally I'm doing well. They're buying a few days of pride. They're buying the illusion of progress packaged in 60-month installments. But that feeling passes quickly. The payment is not being processed. And that's where the silent blow lies. You don't feel it at the time. You feel it later, when you want to take a vacation and can't. When your child gets sick and you panic because you have no savings. When an investment opportunity arises and you can't take advantage of it because your monthly margin is literally zero. When you realize you work hard and have nothing accumulated to show for it. You're not buying transportation. You're renting the feeling of progress, and you're paying dearly for it every month, every year, for years on end. Now, let's talk about numbers, because numbers don't lie and have no emotional side. A payment of $500 a month doesn't seem catastrophic on the first day. It's uncomfortable, but it seems manageable. It seems bearable. But over 5 years, that's $30,000 leaving your account. $30,000. Before counting the more expensive insurance that comes with a new car, the financing interest that sometimes reaches 8, 10, 12% per year, the taxes, the absurd depreciation of the first few years, and the repairs that always appear when you least expect them. $30,000. Now, take a second and think about this. What if some of that money had gone into an emergency fund? What if it had gone into a Roth IRA? What if it had gone into an index fund that tracks the S&P 500? What if it had simply stayed in your account long enough for you to breathe, to have a choice, to not have to rely on credit every time life surprises you? I'm not promising you'll become a millionaire. This isn't about easy promises. It's not about a magic formula. It's about the fundamental difference between buying an asset and financing a liability that depreciates from the moment you sign the contract. A new car loses value the second it leaves the dealership, sometimes 15–20% in the first year.
An investment with time and consistency tends to grow. You don't need to be a financial expert to understand that these two things point in completely opposite directions. The loan isn't just taking your money. It's taking your options. It's taking your freedom of choice. It's taking your ability to say no when you need to say no, and yes when the right opportunity arises. And look, I need to be honest here, because this matters. This isn't about hating cars. It's not about judging those who need reliable transportation to get to work, to take their children to school, to function in life. It's not about living by bicycle or pretending that transportation costs nothing. It's not about never buying anything better in life. It's about one specific and very clear thing: constantly changing cars to impress people who aren't going to pay your bills at the end of the month. Because there's a huge and often invisible difference between needing a car and needing a new car to feel like you've made emotional progress. Between making a financial decision and making an ego decision disguised as a financial decision. The problem isn't owning a car. The problem is letting the car define its own future. A paid-off car might not impress strangers, but it could be silently protecting your future while you build something real. Hey, if this video is making sense to you so far, tell me in the comments, have you ever found yourself in this cycle? Do you feel like the car payments are weighing you down? Your honest answer helps more people find themselves in this content. And if you're enjoying it, a like makes a huge difference to the channel. Then you might say, but everyone around me is changing cars. My coworker just got a new truck. My neighbor showed up with a black SUV. My friend posted a picture of the interior of his new car. Giant screen, beige leather, new car smell. And without realizing it, slowly, almost unconsciously, you start looking at your paid-off car as if it were a sign of being behind. As if not having payments were almost a social shame. As if driving a reliable, honest car that doesn't charge you anything every month were proof that you haven't grown up, that you've fallen behind while everyone else has moved forward. But perhaps it's exactly the opposite. Perhaps the fact that the car is paid off is precisely the sign that you're ahead. Because while the neighbor posts photos of his new interior on social media, he also has a portion of $600, $700 leaving his account every month. That money doesn't come back. It goes to the bank, it goes to insurance, it goes to the dealership. He'll never work for himself. He'll never grow. He'll never create opportunities. Most people don't need a new car. They need a new relationship with money. Looking rich comes at a cost. Getting rich requires a margin. Looking rich gets attention in the parking lot, on social media, at lunch with friends. Getting rich often seems quiet, ordinary, disciplined, and even boring to an outsider. A person who maintains a reliable, paid-off, simple car, they might not receive compliments. They won't appear on anyone's feed. No one will comment on their car. But she might be buying ETFs every month without telling anyone. She might be consistently paying off debt. She might be building an emergency fund. She might be sleeping better because she knows she has a buffer between herself and chaos. She might be accumulating options, and options are the most valuable thing in American adult life. When you have leeway, you can say no. You can wait for the right opportunity to come along. You can change jobs without falling into utter despair. You can handle emergencies without your entire financial life imploding. When you have no margin for error, when every dollar of your salary already has an owner before you even receive it, you become a hostage to the job you hate.
A hostage to the installments. A hostage to the cycle you created yourself but can't see because everyone around you seems to be in the same place. The quickest way to feel broke is to keep funding things that make you look successful. Let me create a simple scene in your head. Very simple, no tricks. Two people, same salary, same city, same stage of life, graduated from the same college, started at the same point. The person trades in her car every 4 years. There's always a payment involved. There's always a new car, beautiful, recent, with that new car smell and new technology. People comment. Her coworkers ask about it. She feels proud. For a few days. Person B paid off the car and decided to keep driving. Not because I couldn't afford a replacement, because he decided he didn't need to, at least not now. He took the money he would have paid in installments and started investing it. Every month, no drama, no posts, no applause. Sometimes $200, sometimes $300, sometimes $500 when there was more left over. In the early years, person A appears to be better off by any superficial metric you use. But after a few years, person B has savings, they have investments, they have less anxiety, they have more options. They have the ability to make choices that person A simply can't because all their margin goes to mortgage payments. After a few years, the difference isn't the car. The difference is freedom. And I know you might be listening to this right now feeling that strange mix of identification and discomfort at the same time. That feeling that someone is describing your life exactly without asking your permission. Maybe you're in that cycle right now. Maybe you just financed a new car and are already feeling the weight of the payments. Maybe you're researching new models while your current one is still paid off and working perfectly. Maybe you feel like you're behind the times at 25, at 30, at 35, and that changing cars is one of the few ways to visibly feel that you're evolving, that you're moving forward, that you haven't been standing still. I understand that. Really, I'm not here to judge you. But I need to tell you something important, carefully and honestly. Perhaps the first step isn't to earn more. Perhaps the first step is to stop restarting the race every time the car is paid off, every time the salary goes up, every time life seems to be stabilizing. Because you don't need to be rich to start building wealth. You don't need a high salary. You don't need an inheritance. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. But you do need to stop turning every financial achievement into just another monthly payment that consumes everything you've just built. Your car doesn't need to prove you're winning. Your bank account needs to prove you're secure. Modern culture does something very well and very dangerous at the same time. It teaches people to confuse movement with progress. Changing cars feels like progress. Signing a financing agreement feels like an achievement. Leaving the dealership feels like a victory. Your cell phone camera captures everything, social media amplifies everything, and suddenly it seems like everyone is moving forward except you. But sometimes true progress is completely invisible. It's seeing the debt decrease every month, little by little, but decreasing nonetheless. It's seeing the investment grow slowly, without rushing, but growing nonetheless. It's having money in the account when the unexpected happens and not needing to panic. It's not depending on credit to survive until the next paycheck. It's not needing to prove anything to anyone because you truly know that you are building something real, solid, and lasting, even if no one can see it. This kind of progress doesn't get likes, it doesn't get comments, it doesn't get praise in the parking lot, it doesn't get a pretty picture to post. But it has something that a car loan will never, under any circumstances, give you: peace. Clarity, the feeling that you're not chasing your own shadow. So before signing the next financing agreement, or before starting to research a new model while the current one is still working, ask yourself 5 questions. Simple questions, but honest ones. Is my current car still safe and reliable? Do I have a real emergency fund? Do I invest anything every month, even if it's a small amount? Am I buying a real need, or am I buying emotional validation? Will this payment bring me closer to or further away from the freedom I say I want? Answer these 5 questions honestly, and the decision will become much clearer than any comparison with a neighbor or colleague. Perhaps driving the same car for a few more years is the most underrated, quietest, and most powerful financial move in American adult life. Not because it's glamorous, not because it will impress anyone, but because it frees up margin. And margin is exactly what separates those who survive month to month from those who build something that lasts. Before I finish, I need to ask you a question, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Be honest. How much could your life change if you kept your current car for another 5 years and invested the monthly payment? Think about the number. Think about what that would represent. Tell me below, because this conversation is very valuable. And if this video made you think differently about money and what you're prioritizing in your life, leave a like now. This helps the channel grow and reach more people who need to hear this. Until then.